Guys, let's face it, someone's going to sign a bad contract this season. It happens every winter in MLB free agency. One team is looking to make an impact to their roster and spend some big time money, and they end up picking the wrong guy. Many of the deals you'll see on today's list are from guys that put up monster seasons that end up being outliers in their career, only for the team that paid them to find out after the fact
You're not that guy.
Today, we're going to look at the best fluke contract years in recent MLB history, outlier seasons that got guys paid only for them to completely devolve from that player in the ensuing contract once they got their money. There were plenty of examples of this that didn't make the cut for this video, so if you end up enjoying this video and you want a part 2, leave a comment down below and I'll definitely make it happen. As always, I like to start these videos with the most recent example, which will take us back to 2021. After starting his career in the shadow of Miguel Cabrera, even dubbed Mini Miggy for a time, Avisail Garcia began carving out an underrated career for himself in the mid-2010s. He made his first All-Star appearance in 2017, a season that stands out as one of the greatest outlier seasons in MLB history. Garcia became one of only 6 primary outfielders in the last 10 years to hit for a .330 batting average or better in a season with at least 4.5 wins above replacement. The company he keeps here with 4 different MVP winners should illustrate the caliber of player Avisail Garcia was when he was at his peak. Not only that, Garcia developed a reputation as a southpaw mauler, posting an absurd .424 batting average against left-handed pitching, one of only 4 players in the last decade of baseball with a mark that high in at least 100 plate appearances. After some ups and downs with the White Sox and Rays in the late 2010s, Garcia eventually landed in Milwaukee, where he returned to his peak form. In 2021, Garcia put together a quality season with the Milwaukee Brewers, where he clubbed a career-best 29 home runs at age 30 and played in over 130 games for just the 3rd time in his 10-year career to that point. Yeah, you heard that right, just his 3rd full season in a decade of play, and this is going to become very important in just a second. Garcia's market in free agency was very compelling after this surprising bounce back, as he shared the corner outfield market with players like Mark Canha, Nick Castellanos, and Michael Conforto, making him one of the top options as each player put together similar results in the 2021 season. Just before the CBA would expire and lead to a brief offseason lockout, the Miami Marlins and Avisail Garcia agreed to terms on a 4-year, $53 million contract, one of the most expensive contracts for a free agent in the history of the franchise. Coincidentally, this became a joint press conference, with the Marlins also extending Sandy Alcantara on a 5-year, $56 million extension on the same day. While the contract for their pitcher would directly lead to a dominant Cy Young campaign, the same success would not be in store for their brand new corner outfielder. Of players with at least 350 plate appearances in the 2022 season, Avisail Garcia registered the 4th lowest F4 value among position players, trailing only the bigger version of himself by .3. In his 3 years with the Marlins, Garcia could barely stay on the field as lingering injuries ruined his consistency. When he did make it on the field, he was one of the worst position players in baseball, making the most money of any everyday player on the Marlins in this window. He played just 153 games in these 3 years for Miami, cobbling together a paltry .582 OPS, which was over 40% worse than league average. He also hit less home runs in these 3 seasons than he did in the 2021 contract year alone. His weighted runs created plus in this window of 59 was the 8th worst mark in baseball among position players with at least 500 plate appearances, sharing company with backup catchers and utility infielders. At one point in his 3rd season in 2024, the Marlins were 1-17 when they decided to play Avisail Garcia, who was still their most expensive position player, and at this point the writing was on the wall. In year 3 of the 4-year deal, the most expensive signing made by Derek Jeter when he was in control of the team was kicked out the door. This happened when he was still owed about $30 million through the 2025 offseason, which is Right now, Avisail Garcia is still getting paid by the Miami Marlins. That's how bad this deal was. While the Avisail Garcia contract became way worse than I think anybody could have really imagined, this next player kind of surprised nobody when he turned out to be a dud on his new team. Up next is the only shortstop on today's list who, after hitting to a well below league average rate for the first 6 seasons of his career, exploded with one of the most absurd outlier seasons by a shortstop ever. In 2017, Zack Cozart put up one of the best single seasons by a shortstop in the 21st century, very likely due to the help of the juiced ball, and he turned it into a sizable payday with the ever-cursed Los Angeles Angels. Prior to this 2017 campaign, the profile on Zack Cozart was fairly straightforward. The former second-round pick was a glove-first shortstop, shortstop, whose poor offensive numbers were covered up nicely by a potent Reds lineup that featured Joey Votto and Jay Bruce, among others. Cozart slugged decently for a shortstop, which helped to offset his poor plate discipline, as he would finish his 9-year career with an on-base percentage of just .300. But speaking of that contract year, when 2017 finally rolled around, Cozart exploded out of the gate with the best offensive stretch of his career at age 30. In the first 2 months of the season, Cozart was hitting .353 with an OPS above 1,000 and nearly as many walks as strikeouts through 50 games. In this window, his 1.065 OPS was only outdone by Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, and Ryan Zimmerman. Perhaps the strangest thing to occur during Cozart's outlier 2017 season were his donkey-related endeavors, courtesy of Joey Votto. Yeah, this story is a weird one. After Cozart took his son to a donkey farm in the 2016 preseason, he told Joey Votto about it, and Votto just couldn't let go of how much he loved this story. It turned into a whole bit where basically Votto promised to buy Cozart a donkey if he ever made an all-star team. At one point when Cozart was campaigning for the final vote, Votto showed up on MLB Network dressed up as a donkey, and this garnered so much popularity that Zack Cozart ended up beating Corey Seager for an all-star nod via fan voting. A player from Cincinnati beat the star shortstop on the Los Angeles Dodgers for a spot in the All-Star game. Can you imagine that happening right now? You can't, because it wouldn't. And yes, he did get that pet donkey on the end because Joey Votto is a man of his word. Life is beautiful. Life is worth living. By season's end, Cozart had become one of just 7 shortstops in the last 10 years to put up a 5-WAR season with an OPS that was 40% better than league average. This put him in the same company of players like Bobby Witt Jr. and hey, here's Corey Seager again. Cozart clubbed 24 home runs in 2017 alone after hitting 29 home runs in his prior 3 seasons combined. But perhaps the biggest thing that got Cozart paid in the end was the fact that in his free agency market, he was the only shortstop, and the team that signed him didn't even sign him to play shortstop. What are the Angels doing? Ever? The Los Angeles Angels signed Cozart on a 3-year, $38 million contract, but they signed him to play third base because they already rostered Ian Kinsler and Andrelton Simmons for their middle infield. And you know what? On paper, the 2018 Angels lineup should have been absolutely dynamite. They had Mike Trout in his prime. They just got Justin Upton. Albert Pujols still had some home runs in the tank. They just brought in a rookie Shohei Ohtani, and that's not even mentioning the 3 infielders that I mentioned right before this, and yet they finished with a losing record. Unfortunately, Zack Cozart's performance directly contributed to that result. Immediately upon donning his new uniform, Cozart's injury troubles of the past resurfaced, leading to 2 different quad-related injured list stints in the first 4 months of his deal. At the end of his first 2 years with the Angels, Cozart had endured 4 different leg injuries, and when he was on the field, he mustered just a 190 batting average and an OPS nearly 50% worse than league average. His negative 1.4 FWAR ranked out as the 6th worst among qualified players in this 2-season stretch, and his meager 557 OPS ranked in the bottom 5, slightly worse than that of Chris Davis for context. The Angels eventually cut ties with Zack Cozart in the final year of his deal, shipping him off to the San Francisco Giants and ridding themselves of the money by attaching their number 4 prospect at the time. The pitcher didn't pan out to be much of anything, but this was pretty horrendous asset management by the Angels front office. Before we get to the next player in today's video, I want to thank the DraftKings Casino for sponsoring me today. Right now you can play all your favorite real money casino games like slots, blackjack, roulette, and more right from your phone anytime, anywhere. There's over 300 different real money games on their app, including live dealer tables that put you right in the action. If this sounds interesting to you, you can sign up today using promo code JMSports so that they know we sent you. DraftKings Casino is safe, secure, and reliable. And right now, all DK Casino players can win up to $5,000 in casino credits every day. So don't miss your chance. Download their app right now, use promo code JMSports, and thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to our next player. Now it's time to talk about our first pitcher in today's video, one that we don't really necessarily associate with any team because he played for so many damn teams. In 2012, Edwin Jackson was coming off an improbable World Series run with the St. Louis Cardinals, hitting free agency in his age 28 season. Jackson, constantly bouncing between teams, viewed it as a positive, saying that the only life he's ever known has been one on the go, and that this way he's never had the chance to get bored by a city. Despite a productive 2011 season split between 2 teams where Jackson pitched to an above league average ERA and just shy of 200 innings, he could only manage to sign a 1-year pact in free agency. Edwin Jackson would sign on with the lowly Washington Nationals for $11 million in the 2012 season as he aimed to help the organization crack the postseason for the first time since rebranding from the Montreal Expos. But instead of being a bonus piece or rotational insurance, Edwin Jackson was one of the best pitchers on the team through the first 3 months of the season. On June 23rd, Jackson pitched his 7th consecutive quality start and had managed a 2.91 ERA through 92 2/3 innings, which was the 13th best mark in baseball for qualified pitchers to that point. His .203 batting average against fell just shy of the top 5 in baseball as well. Though Jackson's second half wasn't as kind as his first, he still finished the season with strong numbers, completing 31 starts with a respectable 4.03 ERA and a career-best 1.22 WHIP, helping Washington win 98 games and the NL East Division title. After a 4th straight quality full season, Edwin Jackson was finally able to cash in when entering free agency again, signing on with the Chicago Cubs on a 4-year, $52 million contract. But as it would turn out, teams were correct to be bullish on Edwin Jackson in free agency. Coming off an 101-loss season, Jackson did little to help Chicago turn the tide as he led the league with 18 losses in his first season. In his first 2 seasons as a starting pitcher with the Cubs in 2013 and 2014, Jackson was unbelievably ineffective, far and away the least valuable pitcher in baseball, with negative 3.6 B-WAR accrued through these 2 seasons of work. After transitioning him to a relief role with lukewarm results in his 3rd year, the Cubs ultimately decided to DFA Edwin Jackson and eat the money remaining on his contract to free up roster space as they approached contention in 2015. Though Edwin Jackson would go on to pitch for 5 more years and 8 more teams after this marriage came to a merciful end, he never again reached the heights of his 2012 contract year that helped him earn his biggest payday of his career. The next guy on today's list is a guy that's responsible for one of the weirdest batting stances I've ever seen, as well as one of the most iconic catches that I've ever seen, that of course came at the expense of my favorite baseball team. After patrolling center field for the 2005 World Series champion White Sox, Aaron Rowand was traded to the Philadelphia Phillies in the deal that sent Jim Thome to the south side of Chicago. While his 2006 season was nothing to write home about, his contract year in 2007 still ranks out as one of the greatest by a primary center fielder in the 21st century. Aaron Rowand joined Mike Trout, Andrew McCutchen, Charlie Blackmon, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Matt Kemp as the only primary center fielders in the last 20 years of play to hit over 300, hit 25 home runs, and manage a 5-WAR season in a single year. This resulted in the first and only All-Star nod of Aaron Rowand's career, as well as the only MVP votes that he ever garnered. Rowand finished the 2007 season tied with Torrey Hunter for the most doubles among center fielders with 45 total, as well as the second highest batting average by a center fielder at 309, trailing only the great Ichiro Suzuki. After the season, Rowand entered the free agent market as the top center fielder available and cashed in his career year with a 5-year, $60 million pact to join the San Francisco Giants. In the wake of Barry Bonds' retirement and Dave Roberts' dip in production, the signing of Aaron Rowand was seemingly a welcome addition to a roster that was still years away from competing. As it would turn out though, the 5.1 wins above replacement he managed in his standout 2007 season was just about double the value he managed to accrue in his ensuing 4 years with the Giants. Rowand's defensive metrics took a significant dip as he entered his 30s, and while he managed an OPS near league average in his first 2 years, those numbers dipped as well once the 2010 season rolled around. That season, he would lose the starting job to Andres Torres ahead of the Giants' march to the World Series, though he would still make their postseason roster. In 2011, the Giants released Aaron Rowand in the final year of his disastrous contract. Despite winning the 2010 World Series, the victories didn't make Rowand any happier about his situation, and while he didn't do much hitting with his aforementioned strange batting stance during his time in a Giants uniform, the Giants faithful sure did love it and mimicked it in the crowd as much as they could. The last player on today's list stands out as one of the most infamous signings in Yankees history. If you live in the tri-state area and you have an uncle that also lives in the tri-state area, you have definitely heard the name Carl Pavano mentioned at a Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, and for that, I am sorry. I share your pain. A late-round draft pick turned top pitching prospect, Carl Pavano first made headlines by being the key piece dealt by the Boston Red Sox in their acquisition of Pedro Martinez. After an unsuccessful 5-year stint with the Montreal Expos, Pavano found his footing with the Florida Marlins. Plagued with injury up until this point in his career, Pavano pitched his first full season for the Marlins in 2003 and was a key piece in helping the franchise win their second World Series in team history. This victory came over the New York Yankees coincidentally. Carl Pavano outdueled Roger Clemens with 8 innings of 1-run ball for a key 4-3 victory in 12 innings that helped even the series at 2 wins apiece. His 2004 contract season was even better. The ground ball specialist pitched a second straight full season, hurling over 220 innings with a clean 3.0 ERA and a career-best 0.6 home run per 9 rate. He made his first All-Star team and landed 6th in NL Cy Young voting at year's end. And while this season was easily his career best, it doesn't really stand out much amongst the best campaigns in 2004, let alone the entire 2000s decade. With options like Pedro Martinez and Brad Radke available, the Yankees decided to heavily pursue the 29-year-old Pavano. Despite having larger offers from the Red Sox and Tigers, Carl Pavano opted to sign with his childhood team on a 4-year contract worth just under $40 million. Pavano's tenure in the Bronx started off well enough. Through 10 starts, he had pitched to a respectable 3.69 ERA, with the Yankees having won 6 of those 10 games. But then the injury onslaught began, and it never really stopped. It started with right shoulder tendonitis that would sideline Pavano for the remainder of the 2005 season. Back injuries delayed his 2006 debut, and then surgery for a bone chip in his right elbow ended that 2006 season before it ever started. Pavano could have returned at the tail end of the season, if not for a car accident that resulted in a pair of broken ribs, an injury that he kept secret from the Yankees for a full week after it happened. He then resurfaced in April 2007. Just days later, he would go back on the injured list with right forearm tightness, and you guessed it, he went under the knife for Tommy John surgery a little while later. He would return in September of 2008 after 7 underwhelming starts to close out his Yankees tenure. Carl Pavano had officially made his mark as one of the worst free agent signings in franchise history. Overall, in these 4 years, he made just 26 starts, putting up an ERA of 5 and a hit per 9 mark over 11. And while for a lot of the other examples on today's list, players didn't make much comment about how bad the free agent signings were, the Yankees made it well known that they didn't fuck with Carl Pavano. In his book, The Yankees Years, legendary Hall of Fame manager Joe Torre said that all the players hated him, and that it was no secret. As jarring as that is to hear, this type of public commentary was happening in real time, too. In 2005, Torre questioned publicly if baseball was even Pavano's top priority, and that he could have done a better job helping himself through his injury-riddled seasons. In 2007, his battery mate Jorge Posada said that Pavano needs to take it upon himself to really want it. After his contract ended, Yankees bullpen catcher Mike Borzello told the story of how Yankees captain Derek Jeter once approached Carl Pavano in the locker room and simply asked him, "Are you ever going to play?" when the injuries continued to occur. Carl Pavano would end up pitching a few more years, having some good seasons with the Minnesota Twins, but he's mostly remembered for this disastrous contract with the New York Yankees. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I saved the best for last in today's video, but that will do it for today's video as well. Let me know if you enjoyed today's concept, leave a like on the video if you did, and leave a comment down below if you want to see that part 2 that I mentioned before. But that'll do it for me, and I'll see you guys next time.